What's up, guys? Welcome to the very first ever channel checkup for, well, ever. Pretty much pretty much 4 of the 5 cars here. And I said 5 cars because we do have a new addition, which I'll get into in just a moment. That's just off camera. And we're going to go through all the cars, give you guys kind of an update on how all of them are doing. And that'll be kind of the point of today's video. So let's get started with our newest addition. Alright, so without further ado, let me give you guys a short intro to this car before I show it off and introduce you guys to the car itself. For those who don't know, I have a younger sister who just turned 16 a while back and got her license just about a month ago. If less than that, I believe it's actually been like only a few weeks. But of course, what that means, we had to get a new car for the family. And this one is by far one of the most newest cars of the group. That's right, we got something that's fairly new considering that both me and my sibling, both my brother, got older cars. Me and my brother hold the title for the 2 oldest cars in the family, while my sister and my mom have the 2 newest cars. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to my sister's first car, a 2017 Chevy Cruze. So yeah, this is the car. This is a 2017 Chevy Cruze. This is a non-turbo Cruze, and these cars have always been kind of a favorite for my mom, for my sister. Ever since my mom got her Equinox, which we'll get to later in the video, the car has been, my mom has become very much a Chevy fan. So we knew we wanted something in that kind of same realm. My sister learned to drive in the Equinox, so she wanted something that was going to be fairly similar in terms of driving characteristics, in terms of how the interior is laid out, all the features and stuff. And so they went with the Cruze. That way it was a very easy learning curve for her to go from a crossover SUV to a sedan and not have to worry about having to learn an entirely new system of parts. Going from, you know, if you go from a Ford Sync to a Dodge Uconnect, it's a very different system and it takes a bit of a learning curve. But since both the Equinox and the Cruze have MyLink, it does help a lot with the learning curve. This car does have Apple CarPlay as well as a couple other goodies and stuff like that, which I do mean to show my sister how to set up. The car is, I believe, an LT trim, so it's kind of middle of the ground, kind of a semi-loaded car. I wouldn't say it's terribly loaded. It is more loaded than the Equinox, which is kind of funny. The car, I don't actually know the mileage. I barely know much about this car except that it's blue and it exists. The car is pretty much what my sister wanted from the get-go, which was a 4-door sedan that was blue and had CarPlay, all that kind of stuff. I don't think she cared about CarPlay quite as much as I do. I think I'm the only one in the house that really cares about CarPlay. But the car is fantastic. It's been really good to her so far, and we're looking forward to having another Chevy in the fleet. It kind of furthers the fact that my brother's the only person that drives an import in the family. So that is the Chevy Cruze. That is the car, and pretty excited to introduce you guys to it. Of course, I will say, before all the Cruze fans come in here, the car is staying stock. This car will never receive an ounce of modifications during its lifetime. My sister has made that abundantly clear. She doesn't plan on touching it. And the car is going to be pretty stock. And it's unfortunate the Cruze has quite a large aftermarket for an American compact car. So I would have loved to have seen her done something with the car. But you know how it is. Non-car people don't want to modify cars. Who figured? But anyway, let's move on to the 2 cars behind us. We're going to jump over to the next Chevy in the list, the Chevy Equinox. Let's go to that. Alright, let's jump into the other Chevy in the fleet, the one that got us started on our Chevy craze, my mom's 2017 Equinox. This is the 2.4 all-wheel drive model. This is an LS trim, so about as basic as you can get with the Equinox for the time. Of course, this is after MyLink became standard on all Equinoxes, which is a huge, huge win, as well as getting a backup camera, all that good stuff. It's got pretty much all you need, and that's kind of the cool part about this car, is that it's a great crossover. It's a great daily driver. A lot of people know about when I had my situation with the Sport Track. This was a car I pretty much spent a lot of time behind the wheel of, and it's won me over. I won't lie. It's slow as can be, but it's comfortable. It's nice, and then you know the AC works, which is a huge plus for me. And for those who haven't experienced this, Chevy AC is by far the coldest air conditioning you can get a hold of, and pretty much anybody will say that. Every Ford I've been in has had, you know, cold but not that cold of air conditioning. This car will make you feel like you're in the tundra, and the car is doing just fine. 0 issues to report out of it. It's been by far one of the more reliable cars my mom's owned. The car is up to about 57,000 miles now, so it's doing really, really good on mileage, especially when compared to previous cars that she had. She had 2 Dodge Caravans that both had issues around this mileage, and so this car has proven us that Chevy can make some good, reliable cars. And you know, we're having a great time with this car, and you know, she cross-shopped a lot of cars with this. She looked at Jeep Cherokee, she looked at Ford Escapes, and Nissan Rogues, and wound up going with the Equinox. And I think she's pretty happy. I'm sure she wished she had a bit more power, but I think this car is serving its purpose well, just being fuel efficient, being a good family car. So that's the Equinox as a whole, no issues to report. And of course, this one's also staying stock. Everyone knows my mom does not care about mods. I think the only thing that's done to this car is window tint. So yeah, don't expect to see anything crazy with this either. Even the 2.4 is actually a pretty solid motor, because if you guys don't know, it's the same motor that's in the Polaris Slingshot. And the Slingshot's gonna make a decent bit of power once they're turbocharged. But anyway, that's kind of rambling on about this car. Let's move on to the first Ford we're gonna talk about today, which is the Mustang. So let's move on over to that. All right, so moving on, we've got my dad's car. This is the 2014 Mustang V6 that so many of you guys, I believe around 5.1 thousand people have seen me drive this car for the review. And this was, last year. The car is doing fantastic still. We've had a couple of like little reliability bugs here and there. There's like so I think there's a water pump as well as a wheel bearing went bad on this car about a year and a half, 2 years ago. So we had to deal with those. We've had a couple batteries in this car because my dad just had bad luck with batteries. He's had several dead cell batteries in this car. And it's not that the batteries have been, just losing juice rapidly or anything like that. It's just he's had 2 dead cell batteries in this car since he got it. But outside of that, I mean, the car really hasn't had too many problems. The only other problem we've seen is the strut tower. It's a very common problem on the V6 Mustangs that the strut towers go bad, and this car has been bit by the bug. So unfortunately, that appears to be a problem this car has as well, but it's being fixed and will be dealt with eventually with a fresh strut tower, and the car will no longer clunk anytime there's a speed bump. Another thing to obviously note, and people are going to obviously notice, loud diesel going by. Another thing that's obvious to notice about the car that has happened, the lower fascia has been damaged. How's it going? Yeah, if you guys noticed already, the lower fascia of the car is damaged. My dad did unfortunately have a bit of a run-in with a dog about half a year ago, some change. He was on the way home one night and he just ran out on the road and got it. And it's unfortunate, but he's been having a hard time deciding whether he wants to go with the factory bumper again or if he wants to get something like a GT500 front, which is what I've voted for, even though the V6 front from this generation is very similar to the GT500 front. All you would need is the grille to really change the look and actually get that GT500 look. But of course, that's for my dad to decide, not me. So we'll see where that goes on that front. And outside of the lower fascia, the car cosmetically doesn't have any major defects outside of some rock chips and occasional scratches here and there. The car outside of that though is over 150,000 miles now, so this car will be reaching end of life probably in the next couple of years. Pretty much my dad does not drive cars more than 200K, so once this car gets kind of close to that, it will be time to be replaced. And my dad has looked into his options. He's very much considering either the replacement for the S550 whenever that is announced, a 400Z whenever those finally start hitting the roads, as well as the new Bronco once he gets to experience one of those. He's wanted kind of an off-roader type vehicle for a while, so he's very much looking like he's going to be staying with the Fords, possibly jumping over to Nissan as well. So we'll have to wait and see on that, but that's pretty exciting though. This car has served its purpose well and has been a trooper, so glad to see that it's still sticking around. But like I said, I don't know how much longer it'll be staying because my dad does like to replace cars at like 200K, and this car is growing closer to that every day. So we're going to move on to a car that isn't here, and then we'll move on to the Sport Track last, because I know that's probably what 90% of you guys watch this video for anyway. Where I'm standing now would be where my brother's Kia Spectra is. For those who don't know, this is the car that was originally supposed to be mine. I sucked at driving stick so bad that it got passed on my brother instead. And this is where it would be, but my brother, much like my sister, we're all working now. We all have jobs, so of course, sometimes our availabilities may not line up. I was going to wait until all the cars were here to do this video, but I have to get up early anyway the next day, so I figured might as well go ahead and just get the car here in spirit. So behind me is where the car would be. The car is doing just fine. It's got over 205,000 miles now. For those who don't know, that was my dad's previous daily driver before the Mustang. And the car is doing great. In terms of reliability, we haven't really had anything major happen with it. We had to do a power steering pump, but that's probably the most major repair we've had to do to the car in years. We had to do a battery, as well as most recently the window switch went bad in the car. So I think for a Kia from 2005, everyone likes to hate on Kia and think that they're the worst car brand ever to exist, but it has been more reliable than both Fords we've had, and is currently still holding down the fort against the two Chevys, and neither of them have had problems yet. But of course, they don't have 200,000 miles. Neither of them even have 100,000 miles yet. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. But that's why I prefer imports. It's like a lot of people ask me why I'm like why I own a Ford when I talk about how much I love imports. But it's just, you know, Kia really proved to me that they are a good brand with that car. And sure, the Spectra is not a performance platform. It is still a heck of a reliable car, and we've never had issues out of that car. The only other thing to note is that it has started burning oil, which is, it's so minute of a burn too. You can't really notice it unless you're really like beating on the car. Pretty much every other 200,000 mile car I've been around, you know, has burned oil long before that. The only exception to rule, you know, knock on shorts, because I don't have any wood to knock around me, the Sport Track isn't burning oil. That's like the only other car around this mileage that, you know, doesn't burn anything. But the Kia has started to burn just a minute amount of oil, and it's doing just fine with that. It's taking it like a champ, as it always does. And the car is going to be straightened up here soon with that as well. My brother does plan on eventually replacing the car once he gets into college. He's talked about anything from as basic as a Jetta to as extravagant as a 350Z. So who knows what he might do. I know he's talked about 350Zs in the past, so I wouldn't be surprised if he got a hold of one. I think let's move on to the one that you guys are here to watch, and that is the Sport Track. So I got to be fast because Tropical Storm Elsa is hitting us right now, and I am getting some raindrops on my head. But behind me is, of course, the truck you guys know and love and watch this channel for, the 2003 Explorer Sport Track, 245,000 mile truck. So let's talk about anything new. Of course, you guys know I talk about this truck all the time and what's new. So for kind of just a recap, caught on fire in December, it's been repaired and is back to full operation. The truck is going to be getting some repairs soon, some maintenance stuff, oil changes, stuff of that nature. And the truck will be pretty much back in square and back in shape and ready to go at full tilt, which is something I've been looking forward to for a long time, because the truck has been in this weird state of limbo for 6.5 months. So glad to have it home though, glad to get back to it, and we're gonna have some fun with it. But that's really all I have to say that I haven't already said in other videos. So well, that said, guys, hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content coming soon on the channel. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, guys.